Climbing Mount Kilimanjaro was not what I expected. Honestly, it was a lot more surprising and challenging than I ever could have imagined. Alright, the first thing I was not expecting was the different terrains that you experience. First day, it was a beautiful rainforest that we got to walk through. I'm talking waterfalls, you have a stream going right along you, and we also got to see monkeys, which I thought was super cool. There were a bunch of monkeys just playing in the trees, and we even got to see there's this black and white monkey that makes this crazy sound. I gotta say, it was probably one of my favorite parts. I really enjoyed going through this rainforest because you had moss coming off the trees, just really picturesque. I don't know, I felt like I was in a movie. There were some really beautiful flowers and plants and trees, and all of it was really cool. We did the Marangu route, which is probably worth mentioning, right? Because every route's going to be a little bit different. But ours, we went from rainforest day 1 to grasslands on day 2. And it was really pretty. They're like, but mainly different grass. The sun started to come out a little bit more, whereas in the rainforest, you know, it's going to be a lot more cloud coverage. But you start coming above the clouds just a little bit. They start breaking when you're in the grasslands area, so that was beautiful. Day 3, a little bit longer of a hike, was actually, we went from the grassland feel to an alpine desert. So it started to get a lot dustier, you know, you had rocks there. It was also really cool because you had just come from these other terrains. Every day felt like you were in a different world, honestly. By summit day, day 4, it was icy up top, you're climbing up rocks. It was a mountain, all right? And a beautiful one at that. And then day 5, you're on your way back, so you get to experience all of it. I really enjoyed it. The terrain, something I was not expecting. I thought it would be a lot more simple on the whole journey, but it was honestly really diverse, so I appreciated that about Kilimanjaro. The second thing was the food. I wasn't expecting to really enjoy the food. I thought maybe it'd be like rice, beans, a little bit of chicken, which we did have some of that, but honestly they switched it up a lot. They gave us at least a 3-course meal every time. We started with a nice hearty soup, and then they gave us some grains, some meats. We always had fruit with our meals. It was awesome, and we didn't pay for like some super fancy, like all these add-ons and stuff. Like we got one of the base packages at one of the best prices we could find. I was really grateful. Our chefs did a wonderful job. And I could tell that part of the Kilimanjaro experience is making sure that you're well fed, that you have good energy, because each day gets a little bit harder as you're going, and you gotta have lots of good energy for that summit hike getting to the top. I really enjoyed the food, thought it was delicious. The third thing was summit day. It was a lot harder than I thought because the first 3 days were kind of like an introduction. Like, okay, here we go, we're hiking. It was easier than you thought, so you start overestimating your abilities. But all of that time warming up is meant to get you mentally prepared for that hike, because it was challenging going up. We didn't do the best preparation we could have. Looking back, I would have liked to have been in better heart condition as far as my cardiovascular, just going strong. The main thing that was unexpected was just how long it was gonna take. Because we started at like 12:30 at night, we hiked 5.5 hours straight switchbacks up that mountain. That wasn't even to get to the peak, that was just to get to the rim. So it was a little less steep after that. 5.5 straight hours of hiking like that. Oof, man. And I'm sure I know there's mountains that are harder and people have done harder stuff, but that was a wake-up call for me. I was like, dang. So I really had to, which is my 4th point, so I really had to dig deep. The air was really thin, it was a lot colder than we thought. It was important to keep moving slowly as you go up. Yeah, it was challenging. It was good though. I think I just wasn't ready for how deep I was gonna have to dig, but I'm grateful that it happened, and I'm grateful that I was able to push through. And this goes along well with point 4, which I was not expecting to learn all the lessons that I did while climbing Kilimanjaro. I got 3 main lessons for you. The first one being, which is a word that they use in Tanzania, meaning slowly, slowly. It kind of goes back to that whole tortoise and the hare idea, right? Like if you're going too fast, rushing things, getting overconfident, then that's a recipe for disaster, right? Like it's gonna catch up with you later. but if you just take it slowly and pace yourself, then you're gonna make it to the top, because you can always do one more step, right? Especially when you've paced yourself and built up that stamina mentally and physically. The second lesson I learned was it's so important to dig deep, especially in those really difficult moments. You are gonna need it, and I know I did. When I say that, it means having a motivation for why you're there, having a reason bigger than just like, oh, I gotta check this mountain off my list, right? Why am I doing this? Why is it important to me? There were three things that really motivated me. One was my wife. Just thinking about her gave me strength. In my darkest moments on that mountain, I remember just thinking about her and being able to feel a lot more light and life as I was climbing up. The second thing was seeing myself at the top. It helped me remember why I was doing this. I really wanted to get to the top of this mountain and do it with William, my best friend who climbed this mountain with me. And part of that is because we actually did some preparation before mentally, where we wrote down our goals of like, what does freedom look like to us? What does reaching the top of the mountain look like for us in our lives? And so it kind of was this symbolic journey of getting to the top of this mountain in Kilimanjaro. Uhuru Peak is what it's called. And then what that actually felt like in real life. So that was a huge motivation for me. And then another motivation that I pulled from was just not letting my team down. I didn't want to let William down. I didn't want to let our guides down. It was so important that I made it to the top and that I could prove it to myself and to my team that I was sticking this through to the end, what we set out to do. This goes great with the third lesson that I learned, which was everything's better together. It's so much more gratifying and enjoyable to climb to the top of a mountain with people that you trust, that you care about. It was amazing doing this with William because we were able to just talk, encourage each other, and really make the most of this journey rather than doing it on my own, getting caught in my own head. It was nice to have the company and someone there to push you, motivate you, and be a part of the journey with you. All right, and then my last point of what was unexpected when I was at Kilimanjaro was actually kind of a funny one. On day 5, as we're heading back down, they do this big tipping ceremony for your staff, for the people who cooked for you, for your tour guide, everything, right? And they asked us before, how much are you guys planning on tipping? And we told them this is how much we had in mind, thinking that tipping was just a little bit extra after you've already paid your guide and for their services, right? Tipping is just kind of that extra thing. But they did not see it that way. They were actually very upset with us when we told them our amount. And we're like, wow, we really thought you guys were gonna pay a lot more, and if there's anything you can do to pay more, like, we really need it. I can understand that, especially there, like the culture and how much they earn, like it's a lot less. We make a lot more in the States and stuff like that, so I just, I felt for them. But unfortunately, it was the way they brought it up and the way that they treated us. Like, it wasn't just making us feel bad. They didn't talk to us much after that. They didn't give us warnings for the next day. In the morning, they kind of gave us the cold shoulder. It was just a really awkward moment. And like I said, I'm more than willing to leave a good tip had we known that there was an expectation for how much, which ended up being almost 50% of the total price we paid for the trip just in tips. I thought that was kind of high, especially for not telling the clients. So that was something we struggled with. It was a big shock. It almost ruined the whole vibe of yes, we made it to the top and we did this together with our amazing guides. Then we got this cold shoulder reaction after discussing the tip. Ultimately, we did give them a better tip, and that was important to us, but feeling pressured to do it, paying more out of budget was not a good feeling. We were not happy with that, and also they weren't happy because the company that booked them didn't communicate with us about that. That was sad, but I would definitely say make sure you're prepared for anything like that. Be really clear with whatever company you book so that you can make sure you're prepared financially and that your people get paid well, right? Like, they really deserve it because they put so much hard work, and we really, really loved our team and are grateful for them. If you enjoyed today's video about Kilimanjaro, check out this video, and also make sure you subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you in the next video.